What happened to Vine? It was the biggest short-form video platform when it came out, but now people barely talk about it. So how did they go from being the pioneer of short-form video to getting shut down less than 5 years later? This and many more on today's episode of The Internet Files. The year is 2012. Facebook and Twitter are the most popular social media, and the video space is dominated by YouTube. At this time, there was no TikTok or Instagram for short videos, it was all long form videos. And then these guys, I'm probably gonna butcher their names though, Don Hoffman, Russ Yusupov, and Colin Kroll had an idea of having something different. What if we had an app where you could just open up the app, shoot a video, and then post it just like that? And that is exactly what they did, leading up to the birth of Vine. So one of the founders, Don Hoffman, was buddies with the co-founder of Twitter, Jack Dorsey, and when he told him about this project, Jack loved it and offered to buy this platform even before it launched. But why? To be honest with you, and this is just a matter of personal opinion, I think it was more of a response to what had happened before with Facebook buying off Instagram, which made Twitter feel like they had to one-up Facebook as well, and then they saw Vine and just went, well, it's good enough, we'll take it, only to come to regret that decision later, as you'll see later on in the video. So after Jack Dorsey saw Vine, he told Dick Costolo, who was the CEO of Twitter at the time, and they bought Vine for $30 million. And remember, Vine hasn't even launched yet, but they've already gotten acquired by Twitter, which was good news for them because this way they had some form of financing before they got on their own 2 feet and began to make money on their own. A year later, in January 2013, Vine launched on iOS with an Android and Windows version following it thereafter, and Vine exploded in popularity, gaining well over 13 million users in its first month, which might not sound like a lot of people, but at the time this was a pretty good number of people, and it became the go-to platform for people who wanted to watch short-form videos. And remember, at this time the maximum length of a single Vine was 6 seconds, and I don't think you understand how short that is, which was perfect for them at the time because this way it almost kind of gamified the creation of the videos on the platform, because this way you had to make a video and tell a story and still make it entertaining and watchable for the audience who you're making it for. Viners, referring to people who made videos on Vine, quickly became a thing, and you had people getting mass popularity from these 6-second clips. Vine wasn't just a small project anymore, it was becoming a part of something bigger, something so big that it was probably bigger than Vine themselves, and this would come to change the social media landscape forever. As the popularity of Vine continued to surge and increase, so did the cracks start to form. The more Vine continued to increase in popularity, the more the issues continued to get worse, until they eventually led to the death of the entire platform. So what reasons were these, and how did they have an effect on Vine that was so bad that it led to the death of an entire platform? Make sure you stick around to find out this and many more. Although the concept of 6-second videos led to the rise of new forms of short-form content, this quickly became a disadvantage for Vine, and the fact that other platforms had introduced their own forms of short-form video features like Facebook and Instagram, this soon became a disadvantage for Vine. And as Vine continued to grow even more popular and more creators coming to the platform and harvesting their own communities, a pattern started to emerge. You had these creators come to Vine and get their initial big break, and once they had their own audience, they moved to another established platform. Some of the people who did something like this and got really successful with it are Danny Gonzalez and Drew Gooden, just to mention a few, who are really respected YouTubers. Other creators went on to move their audience to other platforms like Instagram, like King Bach, or TikTok. Is it King Bach or Bach, or how is it? The benefit for these creators is that they harvested their own community of people who cared about their content more than just the platform where they were putting it on, which meant that regardless of where they moved to and the platform that they chose to make videos on, the audience who really cared about their content and wanted to see it moved over with them, which is something that even I have always wanted to do, even here on YouTube, where I want to be able to form a community of people who care about my content, who I can interact with, and they can interact with each other as well. So if you'd like to join my community, however small it is right now, please subscribe right now. That would help me out a lot, and also like the video if you're enjoying it so far. But back to the video. The 6-second feature was a cursed blessing, but it wasn't as bad as what we're about to look at next, and it had to do with their moderation. You see, although many of the people who got to use Vine managed to stay on its good side, not everybody was that lucky. Poor moderation and cyber harassment became things that started to happen on Vine. When I mention and talk about cyber harassment, I want you to think of it like the comments that you see on Instagram Reels, which I think at this point, if anyone opens up a comment section on Instagram, they most likely know what they're signing up for. They're probably gonna find the most wild comments there, which can have one of two effects. Number one, the comments might be so wild that they start to drive engagement and even more comments on the video, which leads to the video getting even a wider reach, getting to be seen by even more people. But this can have a negative impact on the creator who made the video and their mental health, and maybe even change the perception that they have of themselves. For example, a few months ago, I posted a video on TikTok talking about how iPhone and Android emojis look different. And on that video, I got a lot of comments talking about how, oh, I didn't know what I was talking about. No, the Android emojis don't in fact look like that, and some personal mean comments. And due to this high engagement, that video has gone on to receive over 60,000 views, which is my most watched video on YouTube, TikTok, and any other platform due to this high engagement. But my example isn't even bad. Now imagine that video is an inappropriate video of someone, and it gets the same reach and engagement that we were talking about. This leads to the pushing of really edgy and inappropriate content to unsuspecting users who, I want to remind you, some of them are really young. This sort of thing started to happen on Vine, which actually did more harm to them. Okay. Which actually did more harm to them than good. For starters, advertising, which was Vine's primary source of income, slowed down because advertisers started to keep off the platform due to its prevalence of loose moderation, therefore counting as a factor that led to the downfall of Vine. Loose moderation was also a problem for them because you had other platforms doing it better than them. So from a user standpoint, why go on Vine where there is loose moderation when I can go on Instagram or YouTube where I'll get the same content and still get to see the same videos, and I'm also less likely to see something weird. This and the lack of quick action and adaptation by the team at Vine led to the continue of their downfall. When a platform like YouTube or Vine becomes popular, it's very easy for them to forget the very people who are responsible for their success. And Vine was no different. Ever since its advent in 2013, Vine had never paid a single cent to any of their creators, and as the platform continued to get bigger, the creators wanted a slice of that pie, because you had people getting millions of views off of their videos and getting nothing in return. Well, financially, because they had to rely solely on brand deals, which were also very hard to do because remember, the max limit of a video on Vine was 6 seconds. So how am I supposed to tell you to go buy Lunchly, watch the Talk to a podcast while listening to Think of It by KSI, all in 6 seconds, while still maintaining the usual kind of content that I usually make and making it fun and engaging? As you can probably tell, this was very hard. So the top 15 or 10 creators came together and said, this is it. It's either Vine comes up with a monetization program or we quit and stop posting videos on Vine. And that is exactly what they did. One by one, the creators stopped uploading their videos on Vine and opted to post on other established platforms, and the numbers started to drop. One by one, users started to opt for other platforms because their favorite creators were uploading their videos there anyway. But you're probably wondering, why didn't Vine just pay the creators? It can't be that hard, right? To help you understand why monetizing short form content is hard, I'm going to be using TikTok, which is the biggest short form platform, and YouTube, which is the one I'm familiar with. And I believe that it's the same platform that is affecting TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels and any other short form platform that was affecting Vine. On YouTube, for example, the biggest income stream for them is advertising. This is where an advertiser pays YouTube a certain amount of money for them to show you an ad. These are the ads that you see before, after, or while watching a video, the skippable, non-skippable, or mid-roll ads you see on YouTube. Now, from the money YouTube gets from this advertiser, they take a cut and then give you the rest. This is the model we apply for long-form videos, but when it comes to shorts, it's much harder to monetize them. And I'm gonna be giving you two reasons. Number one, you can't just just play an unskippable ad on a short form video, and number 2, it's very hard for the advertiser to reach the target audience that they had in mind. For example, if I'm watching a video about how to learn programming, I'm more likely to get an ad that is similar to the video that I'm watching. Why? Because I'm the most likely person to use whatever the advertiser is advertising, as compared to another person who's watching a cooking video if they were shown the same ad. This is only one factor that influences the kinds of ad that you get showed on YouTube or any other platform, but it's just something that I thought would be helpful to try and explain this and make you understand. Therefore, the advertisers are less likely to advertise on shorts because of the reasons that we stated above, which means less money for the platform and less money for the creators. So how does this relate with the creators? Now, when an ad plays when someone is watching a video on YouTube Shorts, the ad revenue that remains after YouTube takes a cut is shared by a number of creators, for example 10 or even more or even less, not just the one that the ad just played before. This is different from long form videos because all the ads that, for example, were to play on this video would be shared between me and YouTube alone. This is the reason you hear people complain that shorts and short form content in general pays less money in regards to the amount of views as compared to a long form video that has the same amount of views. I hope this served to explain how monetization works out and everything that goes on. It's a little bit basic, but I think it's necessary to just lay those ground terms as we get into the monetization of Vine. So let's go back to Vine. As we mentioned before, Vine was bought by Twitter before they even launched, which meant that they were going to be financially responsible for Vine till the rest of its existence, so they had to find a way of making Vine financially independent before they started to burn money to keep the platform alive. On its own, Twitter didn't have any money, they were barely making any profits, and they needed something to boost themselves up as well as help them to keep up with the stiff competition that Instagram was offering after they got bought out by Facebook. It's crazy how both of these companies, like Facebook and Twitter, have all changed their names as of right now. It's just a crazy side note of how the times have changed. Twitter bought Vine as a pick-me-up investment in the hopes that Vine would later blow up and sustain itself as a successful investment. Technically, we can't call Vine a failed project because it did manage to amass a membership count of 200 million people, but it didn't seem like that was going to last for long because, as we said, Instagram and other platforms started to offer video features of their own, and it was working out better for them than it was for Vine. The weird thing though is that at this time, as Vine was like blowing up and everything was going good for them, Twitter had no video feature of their own, so you'd think like the obvious thing would be to integrate Vine into Twitter, right? But no, we're not gonna do that. Instead, Twitter buys Periscope, which is a live streaming service, to instead focus on long form video, which in 2015 they finally introduced their video feature, which was 2 years after Vine had already existed and was now in its downward spiral and was now dying faster than ever. Because the following year, on October 2016, Twitter announced that they were disabling all uploads from Vine, and all the videos that had been uploaded before this date would still be available on the platform. What does this even mean? This basically meant that Vine was dead, technically, but you could still see the videos that had already been uploaded. You just couldn't see new ones because none were going to get uploaded. In January of the following year, 2017, Twitter laid the final nail in Vine's coffin and discontinued the service, which basically just meant that Vine got shut down. But they did maintain an online archive of the videos that had been uploaded on Vine, and they continued with it till 2019, which is when they discontinued that archive as well. After Elon Musk bought Twitter and changed it to X, there were speculations that he was going to revive the platform, but that hasn't yet come to happen. We're just gonna wait to see what happens in the future. Maybe he will bring it back, but I don't know. So far he has not, as of the time of the recording of this video. In 2023, a Vine replacement, not a replacement, actually just an alternative maybe, by the co-founder of the Vine itself was announced by the name of Byte. But even before it even launched, it got discontinued. So we never truly got to get that bite of the story. Please laugh. Whether or not Vine was a success or failure is a matter of personal opinion, because I never personally got to use Vine, so I can't really come forward and start to clown on the app and then talk about, oh, they made this problem and mistake here and there. But what I can say is that if Vine never shut down and got to exist till this day, I cannot guarantee that it would still be popular as it was back then, but it would still have its core fan base of people who stuck around even after the demise. But because Vine pretty much much ended in its prime, a lot of people remember it for the good memes and nostalgia and the good times that it brought them, which, to be honest, is truly priceless. Subscribe if you enjoyed that video. I'm trying to hit 100k before the end of the year, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Alright, bye bye. Peace. See, I believe that if I see it in my heart,